Okay, then you ended the relationship.
Yeah.
All right, the relationship didn't break down. You divorced your husband.
It broke down. He
You
put his
divorced
hands
your
on
husband.
me.
You divorced your husband.
Yes.
You can say whatever it is. I'm just looking at the facts. You filed for divorce. You divorced your husband.
Correct.
So I categorize women like you for whatever fact, for whatever reason, as home wreckers. You had a home that you wrecked it. You were married, you got pregnant, had a kid, then wrecked your home.
No, because he put his hands on me. So he wrecked our
Okay.
home.
He put his hands. Okay. Now I'm going to say something.
Hey Ross, so I know I said I wasn't going to say anything more, but I just wanted to give you this example of how when you have a third party look at now this person in this video was an attorney, right? So which I believe she is an attorney, and she only because she's an attorney probably she was able to answer the question. She's more trained in legalese, right? Dealing in courtrooms and witnesses and things like that. See how she finally broke down and said, "Oh yeah." So this is where I say when you have a third party look at a situation, they can usually see things that you don't see when you're intimate and close up and you have feelings involved. You will tend to dismiss red flags and all kinds of stuff that you should not ignore. And women are so I know you think I think one way, and I am biased because of shit that happened to me. I was raised by my mom, you know that. And I've seen every single listen, I've been with I hate to admit it, but I mean honestly, I've dealt with like 150 women in my lifetime, my 54 years. 150 women. And out of those 150 women, so many had exes, and it's always the same story. What happened in your relationship? Oh, he cheated, he did this, he did that. I've yet to meet a woman, yet, yet, that will say, oh, I was a chronic bitch. I really, disrespected that man to a. What do you think it would take for you to hit a woman? And sure, there's bastards out there, but I'm like Kevin Samuels. I've never met a man that just goes off. Every ass whooping just doesn't fall out of the air. It just doesn't go. Just boom 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 boom, start hitting them. That is insane. If that happened, but they all. So how do you know which ones are being real? It's difficult. I'm just
You were
saying.
just a shrinking violet in this situation.
No, I'm
You were
never,
sitting.
I'm not a shrinking
Okay,
violet.
all right. So when you say he put his hands on you, you were sitting on the couch or at the dinner table or whatever. He just came in the door and started whooping your ass.
No,
Was this in the middle of an argument?
he was, yes.
Uh huh. And you know that man for how many years?
I knew him for about 6 at that point.
Uh huh. And he had been violent before.
He had been like subtly violent when I was
Had he been
pregnant.
violent before?
Yes,
Yes. No. Meaning, had he put his hands on you
yes,
before you got married?
yes. Oh, before we got married? No, no,
Okay.
no.
See, see a lot of stuff that I don't like weaponized victimhood. And oftentimes when women come in here, you talk about abuse and violence and stuff like this. But were you verbally violent or emotionally abusive with your husband?
I respect that because I was.
Were you? That's a yes or no
Oh,
before you
I
say.
didn't realize you said were you. I thought you said when you. Yes,
I assumed you are, but I'm asking.
yeah, I
So, what
was.
is an indication of somebody's future? I mean, if someone's violent, they usually have a history of violence. They usually have a history of doing something. It doesn't just fall out of the air one time. So, so for violence and for emotional abuse, right? So if someone's emotionally abusive, you think they're gonna stop doing that, or you think they're gonna continue doing that? That's what you need to ask yourself. Like, what is going to be the future? Because anyone can keep the mask on for a short period of time for the honeymoon phase, 1, 2 years, 6 months. between 6 months and 2 years, right? Honeymoon phase. Then the mask comes off. Then people will usually revert back to where they were. And if they do it with somebody else, they'll do it with you. Just like if it's a woman who, or a man who's beat his wife, it's probably not the first time that he beat somebody or used violence as an answer. Same thing with emotional abuse. If the woman that you're talking to has a history of getting beat up, and I've known a lot of them, there's usually a starting point. And men don't usually solve their problems with violence first. Men use this first, then they use this. And when women use this, men don't know how to remedy that. Because once the talking starts, like if you and I got into an argument, you and I know that if you and I have a disagreement, we're going to be respectful to each other, because we know that one of us could, if it gets pushed, can become violent. So when you're dealing with a woman, there's this line that the woman doesn't stop at. The woman just will cross it and will just be, well, fuck you, motherfucker, and blah, 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 right? But with you and I, we know that once it becomes violent, that's it, it's on. So if there's a woman that has a history of this running her fucking mouth to the point where she got a man to hit her, you think she's gonna just stop that? And if she doesn't admit to any kind of having a blame in it, do you think that's someone who's gotten better? Do you think that's somebody who's, hey, I looked at myself and all? Because women aren't self-reflective. They're not looking, oh, I think I did this and I'm going to change that. How many women you know do that?
Let me ask you. Seeing as though you said the marriage broke down because he put his hands on you, you put your mouth on him.
Did, yeah.
Where does that rank? Is it worse for a man to put his hands on a woman or for a woman to put her tongue on him? I'm asking you seriously.
I mean, honestly, it's bad either way. That was
I said which is worse.
11 years ago.
I said which is worse.
Which is worse?
Yes.
In different circumstances, they're
No, it's
probably
not. Which is
bad.
worse? Which is worse? Physical
say
or psychological?
Hands.
Ma'am.
Well,
Ma'am.
no.
Ma'am.
I don't know.
Really? Really? Really?
Probably psychological. I don't
Thank
know.
you.
I don't know.
Thank you. There are things that you can remember somebody said to you when you were a child, when you can't remember the pain. See, this is why I say that I don't just believe all women, because I don't know men who just start whooping women's butts for no reason. Because I don't know men who just start whooping women's butts for no reason. You guys go into situations where you get back with a man and you just don't know when to stop. You want to keep provoking and talking and this and that. And all of a sudden, let her tell. How many times is it you think you've told this story where you said he ended it because he put his hands on you and people just listen to that?
No.
Well, why didn't you say the marriage broke down because I was verbally violent and emotionally abusive? Why didn't you say that?
Because you were saying that I was a homewrecker. I probably wouldn't have mentioned it if you didn't cast me in a negative light.
You cast him in a negative light. You said the marriage broke down. It didn't break down. You filed for divorce. You filed for divorce and you said, well, I did that because he put his hands on me. And I said, okay, that means you had no part to play in this. I'm asking you, why instead of saying he put his hands on you, why didn't you come in and say the marriage broke down because I was verbally violent and emotionally abusive? Both things happened. True or false, counselor?
True.